Welcome to the Legends Behind the Craft podcast, where we feature top leaders in the wine and craft beverage industry with your host, Drew Hendricks. Now, let's get started with the show.
Drew Hendricks here. I'm the host of the Legends Behind the Craft podcast, where I talk with leaders in the wine and craft beverage industry, from design companies like Transom that helps wineries tell their story through visual design, to today's guest, Simonetta Gedda, whose mission is to introduce the world to the wonders of Italy beyond just the cities of Rome, Florence, Venice, and Milan. Today's episode, it's sponsored by Barrels Ahead. At Barrels Ahead, we work with you to implement a one-of-a-kind marketing strategy, one that highlights your authenticity, tells your story, and connects you with your ideal customers. In short, if you're a business looking to retain a winery or craft beverage producer as a client, Barrels Ahead will figure out a plan to make it happen. Go to barrelsahead.com today to learn more. Now, before I introduce today's guest, I want to give a big thank you to last week's guest, Yuan Ji, co-founder of erstwhile Mezcal. On last week's show, Yuan and I, we discussed the incredible diversity within the Mezcal Oaxaca region and her mission to bring these individual expressions to the United States. Today, I'm super excited. We're talking with Simonetta Gedda, founder of Love to Italy. Simonetta's mission is to help people experience the wonders of Italy. And today we're going to talk with Simonetta about the unique ways that she combines wine, food, travel, and education to ignite people's passions beyond just the big cities of Rome, Florence, Venice, and Italy. Welcome to the show, Simonetta.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for being on. So Simonetta, tell our listeners a little bit about you and how you kind of got into the wine and food industry.
Absolutely. I'm for sure from Italy, and I come from Piemonte region. That is the land for the most beautiful red wines since the beginning. And I grew up in the countryside, and since when I was a little kid, I was always dealing with vineyard, grapes, and the wine. My grandfather was used to produce the wine, and I was used to wait that amazing moment because it was the moment where all the family and friends were just clicking together, connecting together, having fun, having food, and working. So it was just something that was growing up inside myself since when I was young. And that's it. Sometimes in life, just things happen. And this is what's happened to me. And I'm here, and I always wanted to run some business with wine, and hopefully in USA.
Oh, yeah. So that brought on your business, Love to Italy?
Exactly. So my first step years ago was representing an Italian winery based on a very small village close to mine. And I was selling this special strange wine called Erbaluce di Caluso all around the world. And the next step for me was in 2015. I spent 8 months in Houston, Texas, trying to understand better about the market in USA, about the wine market specifically. And then I just came back home. I've done other things, but I joined this idea coming from a very good friend of mine of really creating something different. And this is something different. It's our company, so Love to Italy. We always wanted to have a different approach in the market, and I hope that we can succeed.
Yeah, tell us a little bit now. Love to Italy does have a very different model, and it seems like it stems from the time, from growing up in Piedmont, where it's just not just about the wine; it's about the whole experience, the food, the land.
Exactly.
Talk to us about that.
Exactly. And thanks for the question, because for us, it's really important what we do. Unless we would be just one of the last importers in this country and probably not effective and not interesting. We always wanted to transfer the real experience, overall experience belonging to Italy. Because since the beginning, when I was a teenager and my cousin were traveling from USA to Italy, or other friends, they were just enjoying what we had in Italy. But then when they were just traveling back home, in some way they were having just memories, you know what I mean? So they were not able to have the same experience in this country because in some way the food was a little bit different, was adjusted to local taste. The wine was not available, and they were just taking a lot of pictures. So we're talking about when the smartphone was not available. But anyway, so we decided and we thought what we can do to really bring the Italian experience in USA. So actually what we do is to look for what we consider one of the most expressive item that we can have in specific region or sub area of regions in terms of food, wine, or beer or spirits. And first of all, importing these goods here in USA. But second, what we do is to work around these products to create the full experience by combining an educational tasting, by combining travel, by combining an academy that can just put everything together. What I mean is that if I tell you, Drew, what are you able to cook a pasta? You probably are going to tell me, yes, I'm able. Oh, but at the end of the story, when I prepare the pasta and not you, I tell you also the story behind that pasta, the shape, the tomato sauce that we are using, the wine that we can drink together with this pasta, because it's the tradition of people coming from that place. And it's so very deep in the culture that every time I just describe something to my guests or my customers, immediately they want to travel with us in Italy to see the place where items and products are coming from. So the food and the wine is just something that enables us to tell stories, to explain the real tradition behind that food, the land that it comes from, and giving the vision of what is possible to feel and to have when they travel for really in Italy. And after this experience that probably after the COVID, they are going to be able to do again. They can travel back here home in this country, and they can just keep going, buying what they had the opportunity to taste in Italy because of us. I hope it's clear what I'm saying to you. I mean, it's just putting together many dots to create an overall puzzle.
Oh, absolutely.
And not just in one piece of the others. So it's really much easy to describe than putting in place, because just creating all these business units, having all the licenses, all the connections with people, it's really hard. But we are just keep going because we want to succeed in this project.
I love that angle, and a lot of import companies don't have a why, which you do. There's a book, Start With Why, from Simon Sinek, and a lot of import companies there's the why you do it, what you do, and how you do it. And how is you import wines, what you do is the wines, but why you're doing it all is to just spread this love for Italy, spread the whole experience. And the wine and the food are two of the products that, they help drive revenue, but that's not why. The why is the whole love for it. And by connecting them all, you're creating a really powerful kind of I want to say a revenue engine, because they all build upon each other. But what's driving that is that whole desire to experience Italy and to promote that.
Exactly. The why is the experience itself. It's not just a single element. As I told you since the beginning, if we were just to focus our business in importing and selling, probably we will close our activities very soon, because it's not easy nowadays to deal with the big fish or, the medium importers that already are available in these states and in other states. This is not what we do. And that's why if you take a look to our offer, at least the 90% of the overall offer is made from a product coming from very small producer family-run businesses, products that nobody knows in this country or have any clue that what they are. So the effort that we need to put to explain, to introduce these items is huge. So I'm spending a lot of time in running promotional activities with my customers, educational tasting. And this is just another way, thanks to you, the opportunity you are giving to me. Without this huge support, probably it will be impossible. So almost all my producers never had the chance to put a foot in this country because the US market, it's amazing. It's impressive, but it's probably one of the most difficult. And you need a lot of effort, a lot of money, and at least you need to know the language. I mean, I'm not perfect in my English, but I can express myself and I can understand. My importers, they don't have any clue of English.
And too often, like the very, very small producers that you're going after, the large importers, it's really almost not worth their while because they can't import the items at a magnitude that makes it worthwhile for their portfolio. Now, I was really, really excited that you came on the show. We've talked a couple times offline, and one of the things, pretending COVID didn't exist, I was so impressed with your business model based on travel, bringing people there, and then you have I'm not going to get the story correct. Maybe you can help me. Where you've got a flour producer, so you'd send someone to the region, and they'd see the flour that produces the pasta that has the wine, and there's this complete overarching experience.
Yeah, for sure, COVID was not helping. Okay, but thanks God, now I can see that people in this country really want to travel back again, and we already started to create this customized, tailor-made travel for the people. So what they would like to do is, let's take the example of the flour that you just told me. Okay, I imported this amazing flour coming from one of the most ancient mills in Italy, okay? And what I do here is not only showing the box and the package of the flour itself, but I tell the story behind the meal, behind the family, and then they start to smell and they start to, just pictures in their mind of what they can do with this flour. In the meantime, I prepare for them like a pizza or like a pasta. So I show them how to really use the flour, combining a very beautiful glass of wine. So in the travel, what they can do is to go in the place where the meal is and see effectively how the flour is produced. And, smell and taste are two senses that help people to connect everything together. So, and they can attend a specific training in the meal itself just to know how it's possible to prepare a good pizza, and they can eat the pizza, So it's the experience again. We don't just sell travel, like we don't sell wine in this country. We just create the experience here, and we keep going with the experience in Italy that is going to grow up, and they can bring back home this experience and remember, hopefully, that was a great experience again. And this is what we do.
Well, that's fantastic. So over the last year with COVID, how did you adjust since you couldn't really send people to Italy?
No, it was crazy. And it was crazy also for me because last summer I had to stay blocked in Italy for 5 months because of the lockdown. The US embassy was closed. So it was really complicated. Actually, since September 2019, when I came here for the first time and joining Love to Italy, I had to start up again 3 times. And hopefully this is the one that we can do a great job. But since it was not possible to travel in Italy, I was trying to do a lot of local activities, but even here, lockdown, gathering restrictions. So every time was just a small amount of people, virtual tasting. Zoom became one of the most important tools that we all use. But I never stopped to talk about the real project ever. And from March, when in this country everything was, just released, I pushed the button to just focus in the original project. And as I told you, many people are asking me already to design something specifically for them. So there will be a very beautiful wine club that for June next year, they are going to visit Piemonte, Lombardia, and Veneto. So the 3 regions where I'm bringing in some beautiful wines, and they want something very high-end. So every day they are going to have a wine tasting in the winery with the owners. And they were having also an amazing food experience because we planned to bring them in high-end restaurants, but also a barbecue inside the vineyard. And in between there could be everything. And they want to combine together also the history and art that they can have. So they are going to visit the Egyptian Museum in Torino and many other things, So I'm very excited. And but this is something just for them. And others, maybe they want to go in other regions. But for me, it's always places connected to what I bring here and what I can in the next future to introduce in the academy. Because the academy, it's really very important. The academy, that is the last piece we are building up. It will give the opportunity to do training for professional, but also for lovers.
Now tell me how the academy works. So you're importing the wine, you're importing the food, you've got the travel, and you've got some education, but now you're formalizing it?
No, what we are going to do is really create a Love to Italy Academy, like subdivision. And we already have got important collaboration with the most important private Italian culinary institute. And so, something for Italian cooking, another only for the pizza napoletana, another for the coffee, another for the wine. So very specific. So, and the last news is that now we have got a location here in Grismero to start our first real academy. And we are going to plan a list of training that people will be able to attend based on their skill and what they want to achieve. So a real example, everybody knows the pizza, but I don't know how many people knows that there is pizza, what we say regular pizza in Italy. Then we have the pizza napoletana, that is something very specific. And then we have the pinza romana, that is another something. So if someone wants to start a career in the pizza world and they want to be a master chef for the pizza, we are going to teach them how to do properly all these 3 kinds of pizzas using the most amazing raw material, the flour, the tomato, the basil, the olive oil, the mozzarella. But it's not going to be Simonetta doing the training for sure. I will help, not tasting. But we have one of the most important master chef for the pizza napoletana, another for the pinza romana, and another for the regular pizza. So.
And they're coming over from Italy to.
Absolutely.
So it's all. So you may be able to go to Italy, but you're bringing in the thought leaders from Italy over to Greensboro.
Exactly. We are going to bring in the top training, the top leaders in terms of trainers, and after the training, we already have a local network of partners. Partners is not the beautiful term to use, of people who can collaborate with us that can give support to our students, because it's not going to be possible every week to, call the master chef in Italy for coming here and give you the support if you want to run your business.
Mm-hmm.
But we need someone, at least in USA, that can easily take a flight and come 1 week in your restaurants, in your shop, or whatever you want, to give you advice and to see your improvement. On the other hand, we want to run training also for lovers, because there are many normal people that just want to enjoy and try to do something. And this is what also,
I would love to level up my pizza making skills.
Step number 2, probably step number 1 would be for professional, and step number 2 would be for lovers. But in the professional section, we are going to cover all the need, from the beginner to the high-end training for chef that wants to jump on the next level. And they will be trained by star Michelin chef. And we have a lot of them in Italy. So the most difficult part is done. So having our partnership in place in Italy, and this is done. The second step was finding the place for the first academy here, and this is done.
That's fantastic.
The third, we need the Biden administration that is going to open up the borders so people can travel. And joking apart, I think that 2022, we are going to be able to do that. It looks like you're really setting it up for success. And I like the fact that you've built everything on this core of education. And it's not just a supplement to what you're doing. It is the core of what you're offering here. And then your products is the what and how they can experience and benefit from that education. Absolutely. It's one connected to the other. I want to give you, again, a very simple example.
Oh, absolutely.
One, I'm really a pizza lover. This is what is missing most of me here.
What's the big mistake we're making here?
That's it. The big mistake is using the not qualified raw material. This is the big mistake. And the second, the technique, because creating a good, perfect pizza, it's really difficult. I mean, when I started with the flour, I didn't have any clue on how difficult and wide is the world of the flour. So now I understand something and I can deal with someone who is baking. So asking the proper questions to give a suggestion on the proper flour to use. But it took me 2 years, okay? Yeah. So I'm not able to eat a good pizza, at least not in North Carolina, okay? So, but also when you change from one place to the others, you see that the quality can really, jump from here to here. And if you go in the same place and they are changing the chef, again, the quality is just changing. So for me, one of the biggest problem in this country is to keep the same level of quality. You know what I mean? And it's just training properly new generation of chef, the one that they will be the chef of the future, the owner of the business of the future, how to recognize the good raw material and how to use them, Many times I just knock in the door to a place and a pizza place, and the first things they are going to ask me, which one it is? How much does it cost? So, and I understand. I mean, if you don't care about the final product because you are having a good business, okay, why you need to spend more for having a better quality? But you need to know that there should be and there could be a better quality and how to use it. And for us, if we can, using our experience, try to introduce and maintain at this level for who is interested in, it will be a great success.
That sounds great. And I like so we're talking about pizza. Now, what about you also do import wine, beer, and spirits, or just wine and beer?
Yes, no, we import everything. Actually, in North Carolina is one of the most complicated states in USA for alcoholic beverages and licenses. So we decided to complicate our life at the very top. So we have the license for importation and distributions of wine, beer, and spirits. So we have got 6 different licenses. For the wine, the portfolio is made 90% of label that nobody knows. So the most popular is a Prosecco, that it's popular in USA, but if you taste my Prosecco, it tastes completely different. The other labels are unknown, probably also to a lot of Italians. I really like to go and scout what is small production coming from a small area. And I'm sure that you also know that Italy is one of the most complicated country in the world for the wine, rules and labels. But what is giving me a huge satisfaction is when I introduce my portfolio and in front of me, I have someone that just say, okay, I don't have any clue, but let me try. And when they taste, they are just impressed in the quality of these bottles that they didn't have any clue it was existing.
Yeah. Aside from quality, what do you look for when you're choosing your producers to import?
I look for something that is produced with the heart. You know what I mean? So has to be quality-wise very high, and the standard in terms of quality is something that belongs to myself. I mean, maybe it's not beautiful for you, but for me, it has a lot of quality, not only because of the technicalities of the wine itself. So the wine has to be technically correct, but I need also to be sure that the people and the winery itself is working properly in the vineyard. So with small production, taking care about not using a lot of chemical. We have a lot of organic wines. We have a couple of vegans, but even the others that are not classified as organic, I'm sure that people are working really well without abusing and using a lot of chemical, okay?
Sure.
And then I want to see more label belonging to the same winery, like an offer that can be interesting in this market and that can give me the opportunity to tell story.
So looking for the heart and the soul. I mean, quality isn't just the fact that it was technically made correct. It doesn't have any flaws. That's, for you, quality is more of that kind of unknown it factor. Does it have a heart? Does it have a soul? Does it follow tradition? And is there a true, authentic story?
Exactly. The family itself. I mean, I personally go to visit all my importers, and I know their names. I know if they have cats or dogs or kids. And I like to take pictures with them. I like to create videos because when I run my tasting here, not every time, but almost for a group of people, I use these pictures and these videos to show them where the wine comes from, how it is produced, the pictures of the grape, the fact that the vineyards is on top of a hill, facing the sea, smelling the minerality of the sea. So it's, I'm trying to transfer what is inside myself. Yeah. Same story for the beer, because absolutely, you can find a very good amount of wine in this country. It's very difficult to find good Italian beers. If you don't think about the industrial beers like Peroni or Nastro Azzurro, so the biggest, and you want a real artisanal beer, do you know where to go? Probably not. So we have in this moment 4 different small producers, so small breweries. One is coming from north, the other from Tuscany, and one from close to Naples, and the other from Sicily. So we cover all Italy.
What's the beer? What's the beer scene like in Italy? Because I really only have experience, Moretti, Peroni, the big ones.
Is exactly like in this country.
Really?
In North Carolina, for instance, is a very beautiful state for the production of the beer, and you can just switch between one kind to the other with very high quality. In Italy, the beer market is exactly the same nowadays. So it became very trendy also to go in beautiful restaurants and having the wine list, but also the beer list.
Oh.
And the prices of the beers are almost like the prices of the wine, because there is all the culture connected to the word, to the beer itself, that is very, very similar to the wine. So how to taste the beer, how it is produced, how to pair the beer.
Mm-hmm. How do the beers different between the regions?
It depends on the basic material, raw material that they are using. So I can just send to you 3 of my lager beer, and they taste completely different. So exactly like the wine. But here, if selling unknown wine is difficult, selling Italian crafted beer, artisanal beer, it's over the moon. It's really complicated. I mean, everybody just likes the beer that in this moment I'm having, but immediately after they say, okay, it's too expensive and people will not buy it. And this is not true, because in the few places I'm having my beer in this moment, and I've done some tasting and educational, people are just asking for that kind of beer. It's exactly like the wine, but there's concept and the culture that has to grow up. I mean, no one recognizes Italy as a good beer producer. You know what I mean? So
oh, sure. Now, how are you going to, through education and through experiences, how are you going about, broadening the market for the beer in the U.S.?
I'm just working step by step locally in North Carolina, and I think it's going to take me more time than with the wine, but just because the culture of the Italian beer has to grow up. I can tell you that I already spoke with some distributors in other states, and there is interest in this kind of beer. It's just slower than in the wine. It's also true that the COVID was not helping, because in our market, in our industry, just everybody was struggling, restaurants were closing. So, and now that everything is open up again, I don't know in California, but I can tell you for sure here that a lot of customers I'm having, they have problem with people that can work inside. They don't want to work inside. So they are having shortage in employee and labor work. So it's again,
it is we are in that second kind of iteration of the COVID effects. And now the restaurants are open, but there's no qualified staff in any of the restaurants. So it's very hard to kind of bring in a whole new, kind of education level of beer and promote that experience, even though I think it would be an incredible opportunity for a higher end Italian restaurant to have their regional beer selections along with the regional wine.
Yes,
really
absolutely.
Pairing with the menu, with their menu, it would just create like what you're doing, connecting all the dots and add authenticity to the establishment.
I think that the academy will help either in these respects, because in the academy, for sure, we are going to introduce a beer training together with the wine, but the wine is the most easy, but I want to have something specifically for the beer, as I want to have something specifically for the coffee and maybe for the grappa, Do you know what the grappa is? Oh, Joe, you need to come in Italy with me.
I need to. Grappa may be one of my more favorite spirits.
It's one of the most popular spirits, Italian spirits that is available here in this country. So everybody knows grappa. It's a distillate from the grapes. So it comes from the wine world in some respects. It was considered the basic spirits in north of Italy, at least, where everybody in all the families, they were producing the local wine for the family itself. And they were just having also the grappa. as for you is popular the whiskey or the bourbon. In Italy, popular the grappa.
We need to see more. We need to see more grappa. I think with like last week I was talking with Juan Lee G about mezcal, and she's importing all these artisanal mezcals from Oaxaca. But there's so many artisanal grappas as well that all have such unique expressions.
Yes, because the grappa comes from the grape itself. So as I said, it's a distillate, and depending on the grape varietal and the aging itself, you can have a completely different grappa. One could be dry, the other could be a kind of soft and sweet, another can have the flavoring of the barrel it was used for the aging. So it's really complex. My big problem is that I don't drink spirits, so I don't drink grappa. Oh. So I'm trying just to practice, but I think it's going to be a long story. I prefer to enjoy a glass of wine or a glass of beer. I mean, it's just not me, but I like the smell. The smell, it's really interesting.
Oh yeah. So, as we're kind of wrapping down here, I always like to ask, like, who you admire right now in the industry? Like, especially with you and your knowledge of Italy, and who do you admire right now in Italy right now that's really kind of moving the wine world and the spirit world forward?
What you mean, who I admire in my
in Italy, who's, is there anybody that's really kind of moving the industry forward? Maybe one of your producers.
More than someone specifically, so one entity that is moving. What I can see is that the new generation of people who decided to work like their grandparents in the field, they really believe in what they want to do, in what the tradition was, and they're growing up locally in different areas. Like we call it gruppi di vinaioli. It means like aggregation of younger producers of wine. Okay, and they understood finally that they have to create a team. They have to work together to being able to build up the culture that is needed then to sell their product and what they do. So in some way, it's what Love to Italy belonged in. So the tradition and the experience. There was a very long periods of time where all the producers were just, working on a separate way. They didn't like the idea of creating a team together, going in foreign market together, doing activities, promotional activities together. They were just jealous of what they are doing. They were not sharing with others. It's true. Now, young generations, they are acting exactly in the opposite way. And for me, this is amazing. Okay. So I've seen groups growing up especially in the more difficult small areas. Difficult, it means that they do something so difficult to sell in the market that if they don't work together, they will never succeed. I told you I come from Piemonte. And Piemonte is known all around the world for Barolo, Barbaresco, Barbera, so the red, big wines, okay? But those wines belongs to the south part of Piemonte. I come from the north side, so north of Torino. And in my area is produced an amazing white wine, okay, that is called Erbaluce di Caluso. So the name is complicated. And the wine is complicated to drink because it has a lot of freshness, minerality, and acidity. But if you are able to work properly with these odd characteristics, what you can have, it's an amazing white wine. So in the land of reds, there is a small area where you have an amazing white. So Erbaluce di Caluso is almost unknown in the world. The group of young generations of people who are starting again to work in the field, they are promoting the land itself that is called the Canavese, and they are promoting the wine. And in a very short time, I can say 1 year, now they are able to, to have the attention of some blogger. They've just done a small local activity called Rewine, that instead of rewind, and they are, I think, 20 young fellow that are just growing up. And that's amazing.
That is fantastic. That kind of return to tradition, but also just kind of moving everything forward. That is truly admirable.
They are able to open their mind, that this was always been the limit of all generation and all countries. So traveling around the world for the wine business, I could see that France was really very good in the marketing, because they were doing team together and they were promoting France. In Italy, this was not happening. It was the single, and if this single was having a lot of money, was able to promote much more because of the money itself. It seems now that there is, a turning point that it goes toward what France was used to do. And for me, in the global world, is the only way to just being able to stand up, and give a voice to small producers.
Oh, that's phenomenal. That's fantastic. That really, that excited me a lot to hear about just how everyone's galvanizing together. And then how Loved Italy, your company, is then helping them with their story to promote it outside the borders of Italy.
This is what I want to do. And I really look forward to travel back home, because I want to go and visit those group of people, at least a couple of them, because I know some of the producers. I want to maybe to find an agreement with them, and as Love to Italy, to be part of this project to promote them in USA.
That's fantastic.
So, and I hope that in USA, I could find other distributor that maybe are open to listen up Love to Italy and to try to, take a little bit of what we do and help us locally in their distribution states or field, whatever.
Sure. Yeah. Hopefully, if you're a distributor listening, I mean, this is a incredible chance to expand your network and actually bring in some authenticity to your portfolio. So, Simonetta, where can people find out more about you and Love to Italy?
We have a website that is called www.lovetoitaly.com. So they can find basic information, but they can find my phone number, my email address. I'm on LinkedIn, so they can just Google my name, and I will always reply to people, both email or telephone, whatever. And I will be very happy to share with others my business model to create Love to Italy in other states. This is what I want to do. This is my mission, create Love to Italy in other states.
Well, that's fantastic. Simonetta, thank you so much for joining us today.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to describe what I do. And maybe there could be another time in the future where I can tell you something more or something new.
Oh, absolutely. We need to circle back when you get your the education thing set up in North Carolina.
Absolutely. And remember, you need to travel in Italy with me.
Oh, absolutely. You don't have to convince me. I'm ready.
Okay, we are ready. Give me 5 and we are okay. Thank you so much. And thank you for all the people that are going to spend some time listening this broadcast.
Well, thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Legends Behind the Craft podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.